welcome to Family Law Friday, presented by Florida Women's Law Group. My name is Betsy Corbett, and I'm in the marketing department, and I'll be your host for today. Family Law Friday is designed to be a resource for women with a family law issue. Today, we will be discussing when is enough enough. Before we get started, I wanted to give you some information about our host, Heather Quick. Heather is the founder and owner of Florida Women's Law Group that advocates for women in North Florida. The firm educates and empowers women on the law so that they can find the strength to endure the process and end up better both financially and emotionally. She's been a practicing lawyer for over 20 years, with most of her practice being in family law. Please join me in welcoming Heather Quick to Family Law Friday.
Thank you, Betsy, and hello to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it is a good topic as we're ending the year, and what a year it has been for 2020. And so many women talk to us all the time, everyone on our staff. And there is a common theme that we've noticed lately that I thought I wanted to talk about and give maybe you guys some resources on how to make these kinds of decisions. So when is enough enough? It's rare. It's not rare. I guess sometimes they say, do we wake up one day and say, I'm done? In a way, yes. I think that's a lot of decisions are made in our life because there does come a point, and this is definitely, I've heard this before, and I've said it before, most people make difficult changes and big decisions because there comes a point when the pain outweighs the pleasure. And it's not that we make the change because we know that's going to feel good. We make the change because we're tired of feeling bad, if that makes sense. Hey, we all, not all, but most people are like, I want to lose 5 pounds. It's not until those clothes are just too tight and you look in there and you're like, I can't stand it anymore, that you do something about it. Usually you've known or you've wanted to do it for a long time, but there always tends to be a breaking point, a defining moment that helps you really make that decision. So I'm not going to live like this anymore. And those are some of the things I wanted to talk about today, because I, have found in talking to so many women that once they're here, and I know it takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage to admit to yourself, I need to make a change and I'm scared, but then to pick up the phone and schedule an appointment with a divorce attorney and then to follow through and show up in that chair, because that is external evidence, even to yourself, that I'm doing this, I really want this. Even if when you're here and hearing the advice, asking me questions still scares you, it is a big step and it takes a lot of courage. And let's talk about what gets you here. All right, sometimes there is something so clearly that happens, it's wrong and you're done. Let's talk about something that like drastic. Okay, he hit you. Now, he's been emotionally abusive for 5 or 10 years, verbally abusive, but he crossed the line you had. And you're like, that's the evidence I needed. That's what I needed to validate this decision. And I don't know who that validation is for. Maybe it's for yourself. Maybe it's to your children, to your parents, their parents, to church, your friends, socially. Somebody, that's what's going on in your brain. And so he hits you, that's enough. He has an affair. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. Spent 10 years unhappy, miserable, sticking it out, but now, boom, I have evidence, I'm going to do it. And then even still, some of you I know will be like, well, maybe I'll talk it through, try counseling, whatever. But that's one. He gets arrested, and then we can go on and on of a more drastic type of evidence that you're looking for. I think that's the right word, even though you don't use that in our everyday world, but you're waiting for something to really tell you it's the right thing. And I can't give you those things or talk to you about that, but I can tell you other women's experiences, and they come in, and that it finally was the straw that broke the camel's back. And it could be something that seems minor if it was an isolated, like just on its own, but it's because so many years have built up. And truthfully, years of resentment, years of anger, years of frustration in yourself because you're mad, most likely, even though, and I know this as well, when I get mad and I project that, it's really that I'm mad at myself for the mistake I made or the action I took and the result. But that's what happened. So you're so angry that it's really been awful, probably for even more years, and because you haven't taken any action. So, and that takes a lot of self-awareness and looking at yourself and going, yeah, that's true. Those aren't easy things to recognize in yourself. I know this. I'm not throwing stones at you. I'm saying this is within my self-reflection. Sometimes I see stuff and I'm like, that's not pretty. I see what I've been doing or putting up with because I've been afraid to make a change, because afraid of the unknown, when in reality is so much better than living in that resentment, that anger, that feeling of unfulfillment, not having a partner or communication or love or intimacy. I mean, there's a lot of things that so many women put up with and they tolerate because there's a part of you that you're telling yourself it's okay. It's okay that I do this. Maybe I don't deserve it, or maybe he's trying. Maybe it's my fault. There's so much stuff. And I am certainly somebody who empathizes, like, I get it. There's a lot of negative self-talk. There's a lot of things that we can all justify that is not necessarily good for you, your family, your children, or frankly, even your husband. I mean, let's be honest. Are you really presenting yourself as a great wife and somebody he wants to be with? Well, not if you're secretly hating and just waiting for the next thing, waiting for the shoe to drop, and go filing divorce. I mean, and that's tough. Like, I'm not, I'm talking from experience to be able to really look at that, really look at when you're in a relationship that is toxic and unfulfilling. A relationship takes two people. So it's not isolated to just you. You may have all these feelings, but trust me, there is collateral damage. Others pick up on it. And those others, I mean, the worst is your children. If you have children in your house, like, they're going to know. And the older they get, I have heard from more than one person, they ask, what took you so long? Why'd you do that? Why didn't you do that sooner? I had that experience with my mom's, her second husband. We were teenagers. He was awful. Oh, he was such a jerk. And we did not like him. And hey, I wasn't a piece of cake. I promise you that. Because I, was 16 and began to stand up for myself, but I didn't like the way he treated her, the way he treated us. He wasn't nice, and finally you're like, Mom, like, why are you doing this? You're doing it for us. Like, trust me, and okay, I was 15, 16, and my brother younger, but still, we saw it, and your kids see it too, and they know it. And it's not that you need to get their permission. I don't recommend that at all. You need to talk with adults about your relationship with your husband, but don't think you're insulating them or doing something that's better for them by sticking it out. I submit most likely not, because children are smart. They pick up on it, and you're just teaching them it's okay. You're teaching your sons that's the way to treat a woman, and that no love and caring is okay. And you're teaching your daughters to put up with it. And that, and I know that, but that's exactly what they're learning. And that is maybe, and I get it, you're scared because at least I know this, I know what's happening now, but I don't know what's going to happen on the other side. But it's you don't know, but maybe if you start to plan and understand, get some advice from counselor, an attorney, and let's talk it through. What will your life look like? And more likely than not, the peace and calm and you being able to really figure out who you are. And if you're in such a situation now where you're probably not even being your best self, but what if you were? Like, what things would change around you for your family, your friends, for your job? This affects most aspects of your life, and probably your health. I've met so many clients, and really their health improved drastically when they got out of a relationship that was just so toxic and negative. Because, none of us go through this life unscathed, and we feel what happened. Things happen, and it's so hard. And I know I know many women have asked me, well, do you think I should get divorced? It's very easy on the outside, and I'm sure your friends have told you, and I'm sure your family has told you. That's certainly not my place unless there's, a safety issue, but it's really something, if you're asking that question, you do know the answer. It's so hard to hear it. And it's so hard to think, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. But the reality is where you are now isn't doing anybody any good. And it may be so much better for everyone afterwards. And what I have seen, and every case is different. Everybody's life is different. Nobody really knows what's going on, for somebody behind closed doors. But what we do know is that, the longer you stay in something that is just negative and toxic, it almost becomes what you think is normal. I mean, let's take 2020, for example. I'm not there yet. And I mean, as far as accepting that wearing a mask is normal, but I don't have to wear one all day. But my kids do, they're in school. So then all of a sudden I see them, and like they walked into the house and they still have their mask on because they've become conditioned. Like, that's not, like, you do not need to wear a mask in our house. It's just us. But it's that, like, they forget to take it off. You have become in this, live in this environment. Now that's really seems to be normal. Oh, that he doesn't really talk to us, or he yells, or we don't get along. We sleep in separate bedrooms. We don't engage in activities together. And, those are the kind of things that wear on your soul and your spirit over time. And it's hard to know, well, do I leave? And that's why I really suggest, if you're not in counseling, to really investigate and reach out and find the right person for you, just as an individual. Because if you're struggling, having that professional really help you deal with your emotions and your perception of your relationship, I don't see a downside to that. I really don't. It can, either improve your relationship, maybe because of some self-awareness or things, or give you the strength to do something different. But having an objective person that you trust and can talk to about these things can really make a difference. Because, I know so many women, and they wait so long because they just weren't ready. They couldn't do it, or finally their husband files. I mean, that's the reality. You could go do that too. But so much is built up over the years. They're so angry. And then they're mad at themselves, and they're sad. And because, oh my gosh, now I'm 55, I'm 65, and I've been miserable for so long. Why did I do it? And it makes it harder because you have so much built up anger. And, your heart gets so hard, and it does affect your spirit. So, those are kind of some of the things that I know women struggle with. And I would challenge you, if you are in this situation, or someone is, and I say making a list, but I'm just like, examine your life in a way that maybe can give you clarity. Because I think also sometimes you can get in a dynamic in that relationship. And every relationship have different dynamics, but to the extent, you are like, well, it's my fault and I'm just overly emotional and he can't do this. He can't give me what I need. I can't be what he needs and it's not his fault and he's a good provider. I think that we all deserve more than that and, to have a real partnership with someone. But those cycles can be very destructive because you're both playing a part in it. You're playing that role. You kind of had different roles when you were dating, newly married, and the new parents, and the whole evolution of it. But it's really examining, what role are you playing in that marriage? And are you doing anybody any good? I mean, so even if you're thinking, oh, if I leave, it'll be selfish. Well, look at right now. How is that relationship serving everyone around you? And how are you showing up for everybody else? Because that is a good way to maybe make it less about yourself and give you a little bit of clarity on the situation. And again, that's great for counseling to explore that type of stuff and those feelings and those situations. Knowing where you stand legally is very important as well. And they're not mutually exclusive. You got to deal with the emotions. You got to deal with those feelings and your, situation. And you also got to understand what is it going to look like on the other side. And maybe you balance it out. You think, hey, well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can't make those decisions for you, but I think that having all of that information, at least you're doing something proactive for yourself. You're moving forward in at least gaining information. And then you have to take that information and see if that's going to be right for you. It's not the same for everybody. And I know that when women aren't moving towards a goal and moving their life forward in some way, if you feel like you're going backwards or you feel stuck, and that creates a lot of stress. And that's part of like, when is enough enough? And you're feeling stuck and you're just waiting. Maybe as you move to the end of this year and next year, maybe stop waiting and stop waiting for something outside to happen. Because things are going to happen. And it's kind of like the signs are all around. It's just when you open your eyes to it and you're ready. I think most people would agree. And for everybody, that right time is different. But, this can be, as we know, holidays are stressful. Lots of other family, lots of planning, getting gifts, decorating, cooking, all that. It's a lot. And when you're, struggling with dealing with, extended family sometimes, that may be it. And trust me, we have heard that many times. That was the last Christmas I'm going to spend married and in that situation. I'm not going to put myself through that. So maybe this year that's going to be your enough is enough. And hopefully it doesn't end in a big scene. And, it can just be you saying, I'm waking up today and I'm going to change my life. I'm going to start doing some things that are good for me and my family. And that's what I would encourage you to do. There are so many ways that you can do things for yourself to give you clarity on your situation and maybe some more peace about whether you're staying or going. I think it's important you just have peace about it, because it's the anger and resentment that is really going to harm you at the end of the day. And it's going to affect your health. It's going to affect all your relationships. So if you can begin to have peace with whatever decision that is, I encourage you to do that, especially winter. It's not as sunny and it gets dark sooner and it's a little cold. There's a lot of the, you feel the change of the weather. And many people are very much affected by that. And so I would suggest some healthy things. Look towards meditation. it's a wonderful thing now. There are so many options, and honestly, 10 minutes a day will change your life and give you clarity. And, you know, Tony Robbins says, if you can't find 10 minutes a day to do that for yourself, then you've got more problems. So 10 minutes to just clear your mind will give you an opportunity to approach the world differently. I'm a big proponent of exercise and nutrition and, you know, anything that gets your heart rate up, and especially you can sweat. That really, I feel like, clears toxins out of your body and allows you to think more clearly. It does for me. I'm able to really process things much better if I can exercise and let my brain kind of go for a while. And, you know, certainly things that give you some peace. Some people like to work in the yard. Some people like to cook, bake. You know, anything that gives you, this is so nice, I'm enjoying myself. Do that for yourself. And try to do a little something like that every day, even if it's only 10 minutes, but you're starting a new routine and you're starting some things that are going to give you more clarity and peace in your life. Maybe it's just picking up the phone and talking to a good friend, a family member that just makes you smile and makes you think of a time that was different. Those are things that are positive for you, because you don't want to let it get to the point where you're so angry and hurt that now you're in bad health and you just don't like anybody. And that's a difficult way to start your new life. So I would encourage you to, if you're like, gosh, I just don't know, you know, instead of letting that play in your mind so often, start doing some positive things for yourself. Get a counselor. Talk to an attorney, find out what that situation is, do some meditation. You know, maybe what's really cool now, I will tell you, everything is virtual. You know, say, oh, I always want to learn, you know, a language, or you can get, there's an app for that, I know, or a cooking class or something just to feed your soul a little, and maybe allow a new story to play in your head that is more positive and more supportive of you as a person and who you want to be. And I would hope, and I'd love to know if by doing that, it helps you and it changes the situation, and at least maybe gives you clarity on your situation and some new steps that you can take as we approach this new year in a new way to look at where you are, and if now's the time, and only you know. But if you're thinking about it, that means it's taking up time of your day. It's draining you of positive energy and things that you can replace that will make you a better person and a better friend, family member, mother, daughter, sister, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all about here at Florida Women's Law Group, is to support you through these difficult decisions, because we're all going through this life, and there are roadblocks, speed bumps all along the way. And we just happen to help women when they're in that divorce family law roadblock and they're not sure how to go through it, and they know they can't go through it alone. So if that is something that has been weighing on you, or someone you know is really in this particular spot, then give us a call, reach out. Betsy will give you the information and we'll help you. We're not going to make the decision for you, but we're going to walk with you through it and help you get to that better place that you deserve.
Thank you, Heather, and to everyone that was able to listen today. We're here for you for any legal question you may have. Please give us a call at 904-241-0012. Thank you so much for joining us.